What's up, guys? My name's Luke. Thanks for joining me on my journey to grow mentally, spiritually, financially, and physically, as well as document my progress along the way so I can make the most practical and relatable advice. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So the main premise of this video is this is part 2 of my must-have habits for 2025. This is kind of the implementing stage, how I'm going to actually implement these into my life so I can do them every day, or if it's a weekly habit, every week, monthly habit every month or something like that, so I can finally reach the goals that I want to reach. So a lot of what I'm doing to implement these little strategies comes from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, and kind of following the steps in thought process of the cue, the craving, the response, and the reward to a habit, and different things, make it easy, make it satisfying, make it attractive, stuff like that to make the habit stick. I wrote down all my habits, and this is one of the steps that they use. So I'm using a habit tracker that I made. It's pretty nifty. It just helps to see all the habits on paper, check off what you're doing so far, and helps you stay organized. So habit tracker is one strategy that I'm using to at least get the habit down. I won't always use the habit tracker, but I set it for at least for the first 30 days till it becomes a solid habit. Also, as you can see on my habit tracker, I have a lot of new habits, so I'm gonna attempt to start all of them at the same time. But how it may work out is, in one of my habits, a weekly review that I'm doing, is realize, this is too much at one time, and only try to implement a few at one time. So that's something I might do in the future. I did add 2 habits from the last video that I thought of, so I'll get into those a little bit. And so for each habit, I went into, what was like the cue for the habit, the craving, what was going to be my response and reward, kind of how it is broken down in the book Atomic Habits. I'm not going to go into all the detail for those because it's like a lot, but for some of them I will, just to give you examples of how I'm going to achieve these certain habits I'm going to be doing, which will lead to goals. A couple more things to have in mind before we get into this video. One is this little sentence structure that he gives that you can say to start a habit, which I did for all the habits I'm doing. And it's like this little template is like, I will, behavior habit at this time in this location. So what that does is you kind of write it out. I will, do my morning routine at 7:30 every morning in my room. So having that specific stuff makes it a lot easier to get the habit rolling, something like that. Also, for some of these habits, I'm going to be utilizing the group function. So for the read the Bible every day, I'm doing that with another friend and also my mother. So I'm going to be doing that together, kind of catching up and checking up on each other, make sure we're holding each other accountable. Now, this next thing I'm going to talk about is really important, and that's kind of like the reward of what you do for each habit. And the really difficult thing about, if you're doing positive habits, is that the natural reward that you'd get from doing these positive habits comes much, much later. And it's scientifically proven that, the quicker you receive a reward for doing action, the more likely that you're going to do it. So when these rewards are coming, like months or a year down the road, it's hard to stay consistent. So the difficult thing is trying to think of rewards for 18 different habits that I'm doing. And the thing about rewards is that you want to make them a good reward so that you want to keep doing it, but also say a reward is that you got to eat chocolate or something like that. Well, this is aligned with my other health goals or whatnot. So trying to think of rewards that help reinforce the habit but don't hurt my overall progress is definitely the most difficult part this whole habit implementation, phase I'm going through. Okay, so I'm just gonna give you a quick example of, how I like set up each habit, and to get it clear in my mind with the cue, craving, response, and reward, to kind of just get it out there what I'm gonna do. So the first habit is like read 10 minutes a day of like a self-improvement book. So the cue is like the book's gonna be like on the table, on the desk, set up already, and then I did like the little sentence structure that helps out. Is like I will read 10 minutes of book right after I wake up, and I'll read it at my desk chair. So you got your when it's gonna be at right after I wake up, and then it's gonna be at the desk chair. And then like the craving, these things are interesting to think about. Like craving, like what's the craving for me to go like read this book in the morning? Like there's really nothing other than the big one is to check off the box on the habit tracker. So when you have kind of no craving to look forward to, it's nice to make a habit tracker so you can feel like you're doing something. And also something I've thought about doing, I don't know about if I'm gonna do it yet or not, is instead of having a reward, have like a punishment for not doing it. So it's gonna be like, if you don't do your daily habits, you have to do like, I don't know, 200 push-ups or 100 push-ups or something like that. Something that's still like good for you, but like not a terrible punishment. So there's a craving, need to check the box and habit tracker, or also fear of don't want to do your push-ups or something like that. The response is actually doing it, so reading for 10 minutes, and the reward is checking the box, and you don't have to do your push-ups if I implement that. So that's just one example of the habits, how I kind of set up for each one. Two of the weekly habits that I'm doing are like a weekly review of how I'm doing on my goals and habits and stuff like that, and also updating my calendar so I can be focus and all that time blocking, good stuff. So I planned out that I'm gonna be doing these Sunday morning, so before church, because we didn't realize it when making habits, and to do them have the time down, because if you have a specific time down, you do it every week or whatnot, that time would become a lot easier to habit, instead of like, on the weekend in general, do your weekly reviews. So that's a lot harder than just Sunday morning, that's when you're doing it. And also when there's like a strict time that the schedule has to get going, I find that like really helpful to work in habits there. So that's what I'm going to be doing, two at least of my weekly habits. Big one for the updating the calendar weekly is that I'm going to write down either like a journal or my notebook pretty much all the stuff that I have to do, just get my thoughts all down, so that when I'm actually updating, I don't have to be like, oh, what do I have to do? It's all like there. I just gotta put it in the calendar, so make the process a little easier. So that was probably the most helpful thing in general of writing this all out, and how I'm gonna do each habit has made you think like, oh, how am I actually gonna do that? Because when you say you're gonna do something, you're like, oh yeah, I'll do it. Your mind fills in the blanks. When you're actually like thinking through it, you're like, oh, how am I gonna do that? So thinking through it is what makes the process go smoother, so that I can stick with these habits for a long time. I have a lot of habits to do in 2025. Got my work cut out for me, but since that first video I made on my habits for 2025, I added two more. So the first one is to practice the ACT every day. Now this is one I'm not a big fan of at all, not a big fan of the school system and whatnot, but I understand the importance of it. So for juniors, they take the ACT in February for free, but it's required. So it's January, so every day until whatever the date is in February, practicing the ACT. Gonna be going through this hefty book right here for the ACT. It's gonna be rough. The second habit that I'm also implementing, along with the other 17 or how many I have, is meal prepping each week, which I'm so surprised I didn't think of this sooner. Just like slipped my mind. But like I've been doing, continue to meal prep. I haven't been doing it over the break because like you just wake up or whatever and eat whatever. But once you get back to the system, you're at school. Meal prepping is extremely useful. So that's something I'll be doing for as a habit continuing. I'm excited to try this new chicken Alfredo recipe that I learned about. So yeah, that's another habit I'm doing in 2025. So I know this video didn't go into a lot of detail of how I'm doing each habit, but a lot of what I wrote down is pretty similar. Like take creatine. Like the cue is like the bag is there, and so when you go like eat breakfast, the bag is out. The craving is you want to check off the box. And the response is, you take the creatine. Reward is, you get big. I mean, something like that, and you check off the box. So that's a lot of them are pretty repetitive, and I don't want to go over all, 18 or 19 that I have. So I just kind of kept it kind of short, since most of them were similar. But the processes I will be doing to implement these habits hopefully will stick. Nice and simple. And then I can be doing these throughout the year to come. With that, thanks for watching this video and learning what habits I'm gonna be doing in 2025. Hopefully you're inspired or something like that, or for my future self in a year or two, I can look back and just be like, oh, those are nice habits. Good start. Good job, younger Luke. So I'll hopefully be encouraging when I get a bit older, which is the main point of this whole channel. Thinking a little bit about it. It's like, oh, it would be nice, channel pop off, make a little side income from it. But this is really just a channel so that when I get older and become successful, I can look back and say, oh, I started from nothing, from nowhere, just, a little kid in his room, waking up early, making videos, early in the morning so his parents wouldn't find out because it's embarrassing, which, it's really not that embarrassing, but I'm still, making videos right now in the morning. But, it's all about just so that I can make these videos, have them out there of where I'm at right now, so that later on in life, when, actually accumulating some success, I can look back and say, yeah, first, 20 videos had like no more than like 5 views and stuff like that. So I think I'll be proud looking back at this later on. So with that, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.